to this meeting. My name is Alex. I am head of projects for Ideas, and today is our customer development workshop with Lloyd Jacob. So I'd like to just welcome Lloyd.
Hey guys.
Hello. Hey.
So, I kick it off?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I graduated from San Jose State a long time ago, 2002. So I'm glad to help out and see if I can give back to the state community. So I'm glad I'm here. I graduated as an MIS degree major, and when I graduated, the Silicon Valley bust was going on, so no one wanted to hire me. But I luckily got a job, and the same day I got a job, I met my co-founder, who happened to be my co-founder going forward, and he was starting an ad network, and he explained what that was. I'm like, this is really cool. So the same day I got my job, I quit, started working with him. We literally spent 2 years sitting under his bunk bed working on a startup, and then had enough money raised that we could actually have our own office, and kind of grew up from there. And I've done several startups over the years. One of them came out of Y Combinator, Bachelor Winner 12. At the time right now, I'm helping a startup that's a fashion startup based out of India, and helping Jasmine here with her startup as well. Some of the stuff I go over today might sound really obvious, but believe it, it's not obvious. Even me, who've been doing this for a while, I still go through the same mistakes that I'm going to tell you guys not to do today. So it's got to keep in mind that this is something that you're going to have to kind of keep as your guidelines as you go forward. Everything I show you today will also be on my website, so you guys can download it tomorrow off the site. So let me kick it off. Does anyone here know the difference between a startup and a company is?
Well, so a startup, a company has a clear business model and knows who it's going to sell to. A startup doesn't.
Exactly. Very good definition, actually. So I like cars, so I'm going to use that in my picture, right? So a startup is like a kid car. You kind of figure things out, don't know exactly how it's all come together, and trying to figure out if that's the kind of device the customer wants. A company has it all polished. They know exactly what they need to develop. They need to repeat and repeat what they've developed as a success. A startup is you guys. You guys see a problem. You guys see a need out there. You're trying to figure out who is that customer that I can serve. How do I serve them properly? Then you're trying to figure out, can I build this customer so I can actually make some money as a company? A company is very different. A company has already figured out the solution need. They know exactly who the customer is, and they try to find more of those type of customers. They know how to build their customers, and now what they're trying to do is expand. If you guys heard a couple of years ago, Groupon got into Germany, and they were just kind of like had 12 operations running in like 1 year. That's because they really knew what the customer was. They knew what their billing cycle was. It's just a matter of going to another country and repeating and rinsing the whole thing again. That's the big difference between these two companies. So you may see sometimes like startups refer to themselves as companies. This is the migration that took place before they realized now we're a full-blown company. This is what happened in Silicon Valley. You guys come up with an idea. Then you guys group together, hey, let's form a startup. And unless you execute properly and go down the plan, a lot of startups in Silicon Valley die. But so a lot of companies also turn into companies. And my job today is to kind of give you guys a few bullet points, hopefully take you down the path to become a company and not the other way. Okay, before I get into this, right now, I'm not sure which stage all you guys are in, but from my experience, number one most important thing for you guys is to focusing on your product. That is the number one focus. I'm going to go over stuff that I have done as mistakes. I've seen other people do mistakes. They're absolute waste of your time, so let me go through them with you guys. Printing t-shirts for your group. No need for it. Business cards. You're not doing any business deals. You do not need business cards. Writing business models. You don't need that yet. Writing content, Instagram, Pinterest. Not necessary. Incorporating, filing your patent, talking to investors, talking to lawyers, attending conferences, paying for expensive software. None of this stuff is going to help you with the most important part, which is your product. Focus on product. This stuff will happen later on. If your product is no good, this is all a waste of your time. What you should be focusing on. First one, your MVP. Minimum viable product. Has anyone read The Lean Startup? Okay. So it was written by a guy named Eric Ries, really smart guy, and he sort of shook Silicon Valley and wrote this book. And one of his quotes are pretty important. He talks about MVP. It's a version of a new product which allows the team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about a customer with the least effort. What that means in simple English is that you've identified that you think a customer has a pain. Instead of spending months developing things, you come up with something that at least tackles a small portion of the problem. Then you take it to the customer and say, hey, is this solving a problem? If the answer is positive, then you keep working on your product. answer is negative, then you got to reevaluate what exactly is the problem. So instead of spending a lot of time and money and resources, you come up with the least small amount and you take that to market and see what happens with it. That's what this means. I think a lot of this has to do with back in the days, there was something called waterfall method of project management, where people used to spend like 6 months developing really large products, and they would take it to market, and the market doesn't want it. And that's when Agile and all that new stuff came around. This is sort of like an offshoot of that idea. Number 2, customer development. Taking your MVP out to your potential customer. And your job is 2 goals. When you take it out to your potential customers, do they say that you're solving the problem? Or if you're making a new product, do they like what you just made? Who is not your customers? People you should not be talking to, mom and dad, your teammates, your friends in school, your professors. And the reason I say that is because it's sort of a boxer environment, right? Your mom and dad always going to say great things about you, right? Your teammates, because you guys are all working out together, you're going to love your product, you know all the issues that you're going to always give positive comments about it. It might be even your professors, because if you've got them involved at a heavy end, that means they're also sort of in the box. You need to go out of the box and figure out how can I identify other people that are my potential customers. Just go directly and talk to those guys. I would say to get a proper amount of data on the MVP, at least talk to a minimum 20, 30. Don't let 1 or 2 people tell you your product is right or wrong. Get a larger group of data collected. When you talk to people, one thing to keep in mind is try to keep questions open-minded. You don't want to force them. Hey, asking things like, do you like this color? Is kind of like maybe force them into an answer. Just leave it open-ended. What is your feedback on that? Test it out. Give me some opinions. Let them openly talk back to you guys, and that's the best opinion you can get out of anyone you talk to. Customer development is basically a cycle, right? You take your MVP out, you go out to customers, you get some feedback. They might tell you something really valuable that you never thought of could be useful to improve your product. You go back, you improve your product, take it back out again, test it with the same group or a new group, get feedback, go back. You're constantly revising your product, and as you keep going, talking to customers back and forth, you're coming to a point where your product is getting a little more refined. Each time you go back, the potential customer is a little bit more happier with your solution, and you get into a point where like now you feel like you almost have it nailed what the customer really wants. You might find that as you start talking to people, you might find things that you never thought of could be an issue. Like for example, before I get into these guys, my company, Big Engage, right? This was my previous startup. I thought I was building a CRM and email product for e-commerce. I was to contact all these e-commerce companies and talking to them, trying to get sales to close. And a lot of my conversations like would eventually lead to content, because content is so hot nowadays, right? And the people I was talking to would say, like, can your product do emailing? Can I grab content? Can I get dynamic content? And I would say all these things, and I would start to disregard it, and I would never close a sale, which was trying to get these e-commerce people to board onto my product. And after an X amount of conversations, I realized maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. Everyone seems to want my product for the content side of the business. So I pivoted. I changed my whole model to we are a platform of content creators. And then we went after that. And right after that, I started closing deals. I got bloggers, podcasters, all on this platform. And eventually, a year later, this company was picked up. It was all because I realized after talking to customers that I thought was a certain problem, realized that my product actually solved a better problem, and I went after that avenue. Companies you guys know really well, Pinterest. Pinterest did not start off as Pinterest. Pinterest is actually a site where you would, in your local area, find all the merchandise different merchants have, put them in a basket, and then the goal was for you to go to the store and buy it. But the problem with that was when you add things into your basket, unless you could process it right there and buy it, no one would buy what was once called tote. So the CEO was having a lot of trouble with this, and he realized what's happening is people are collecting stuff in their baskets, and they're sort of sharing this stuff with each other. So he's like, you know what? Maybe sharing is what I need to be doing. And then he actually happened to be a butterfly collector, I think, when he was younger, and he used to have collections of butterflies, and he'd share them. And he's like, hey, that's the same kind of thing on the web. So they pivoted, and now you have one of the most valued companies in Silicon Valley because of that pivot. Android started off as actually an operating system for cameras. Google picked it up, turned it into operating system for mobile devices. Groupon was the activism site, became a coupon site, and so on. So all these changes took place because they did the MVP, because they talked to customers. Had they not done that, none of these companies would have probably been around today. So that's one of the key things you have to keep in mind. As you're working a product, take it to customers, get feedback from them. Next, after you kind of figure this out, next thing is like how you can make money from your company, right? You got to figure out a billing cycle. And for everyone, that's very different. You might be a product that's a one-time sell and you kind of keep going. There are a lot of companies that sell product and they have service fees to keep it up. You might be a SaaS model, it's all subscription-based. So that's something you will eventually have to come to. And you notice I did not bring that up earlier because that is not something you think about. It's only once you figure out the customer product fit is there, then you go figure out how am I going to charge my customer. And also this part, you might also be doing a lot of changes here. You might go out and try to close the deal on, let's say, a one-time sale followed by subscription, but people might not like that. Then you might want to test out, okay, what if I just go pure subscription, what happens? And you have to test that out a little bit as well to grow your company. Sales is another part of what I was going to talk about today, so I'm going to jump into it, but here's my comment about sales. Currently, you should only think about sales once you have your product ready to a point where a customer loves it and they're willing to pay for it. Remember, when a customer is buying your product or using your product, they're exchanging money for your goods, right? No one just gives their money up. They only give their money up when there is a problem that your product has solved, or you discover some innovation that is improving their life. That is the only time they do that swap. So before you get into sales, make sure your product is at that point. Anyone can tell me the difference between marketing and sales?
Marketing is just letting people know that, hey, there's this thing that exists, but selling is basically where you're exchanging money.
Right. So let me clear that a little more, right? Okay. A lot of people don't consider this the same unit, but they're actually the same unit, okay? In very simple terms, marketing's job is to reach out to the world, create interest for your product, and get those people to start coming, creating, and inquiring about you. Salespeople's jobs is when those people come in, get a hold of them, talk to them, and get them to buy your product. These two are two separate roles, but they work in sync. You cannot have sales running by itself. You can't have marketing running by itself. They have to be in sync. In most startups, especially when you guys get off the ground, what happens is you don't have such exclusive teams. And so the CEO typically is the guy that's working with maybe his co-founder coming up with a marketing plan. And the CEO's job is to go do the sales. And that actually is a very important thing because if the CEO can't even sell his own product, no one in the world can sell that product. So you got to be able to sell your own stuff. Now, when I was younger, there used to be so-called Radio Shack back in the days, right? And my boss, the only thing he ever taught me in my life was this, okay? So he had a buddy who used to sell cooking pans door to door. And he was never successfully able to sell his cooking pans. So one day he was talking to my boss who was in his Chuck, and he was like, Chuck, I can't sell this. And Chuck asks him, so how good are those pans? He goes, I don't know, I've never used them. He goes, you're trying to sell something you've never used? He goes, yeah. So he goes, why don't you come over this evening, go in the kitchen with my wife, and use those pans. He took them in the kitchen, used the pans, and then he realized what his pans do, how fantastic it was. That was the turning point when he realized he'd go sell it. The CEO cannot sell the product if he himself doesn't believe in the product, if he hasn't tested the product, believes in his product. So your job as a CEO is you're the first salesperson of the company, know what your product does, know what value it provides, and go out there and be your first salesman. After you kind of get that going on the ground, then you can get salespeople eventually, but you're the first sales guy for the company. Okay, now you know your billing cycle, you know who your customer is, so how do you find more customers is the question. What you need to think about is like, where does my potential customer hang out, okay, in simple terms. I'll give you an example of something I'm doing right now. I am helping a fashion startup, and they're trying to launch a Kickstarter campaign. And the Kickstarter campaign is for a fine Italian suit. This suit typically sells for $1,000 to $5,000. They've figured out how to go to manufacturer and get it direct to consumer's hand for $400. Huge thing, and it's a great deal, right? But the thing is, when you go on Kickstarter, it's mostly techie stuff and like other things that like are not clothing related. So how do you identify people you can drive into a Kickstarter campaign? So I thought about the same question, like how am I going to find where are my typical customers? So I thought about who wears suits. Bankers wear suits, real estate agents wear suits, investors wear suits, who else? Lawyers wear suits, right? So I knew kind of who I want to target. Then I'm like, okay, where do these guys hang out? So I Google on the web, real estate forums, and I found there's like a ton of forums where real estate agents are sitting there talking to each other all day long, sharing advice. I'm like, okay, that's a great place. If I can somehow break in there through some great content that I create, I can attract some people who are real estate agents who come check out my Kickstarter campaign and get a fantastic suit. Okay, I need to go find lawyers. I could do the same approach, but I happen to be part of this club, the Silicon Valley Club, right down the street. And when I go there, there's 3,000 members there, primarily male, and there's a ton of lawyers, a ton of bankers sitting in there. So I just realized, wait a minute, this club corp has 75 locations all throughout the U.S. Each probably has an average of 3,000 members. If I can somehow strike a deal where I do a rev share deal or get into the newsletter, I can now be exposed to all these lawyers and real estate agents that are sitting out there who are all my potential customers. Same way, you guys are going to think about it too. When you do your first few MVPs, you're going to learn who your customers are, right? I'm going to pick on Jasmine for a second. Jasmine is building a running outfit with a bladder system for runners, right? Think about where her customers hang out. Most obvious is obviously race events, right? These are people, runners, that want to hang out these kind of places. So she should be present there. Then there are, when the races are not going on, there's all kinds of outdoor running areas that people are probably going to hang out at. Runners are very active online because they're sharing tips, where they ran, those kind of things are going on. Runners are sharing where they ran. They're on Pinterest, all these places, right? Now all of a sudden she knows when a product is ready, these are all the channels she has to go attack to go get more customers for herself. Now, what's going to happen is, I just gave you a bunch of ideas for her, for example, right? And she's going to write all these down. What's going to happen is, once she writes even that first idea down, go identify all the running events. She's going to go down, her and a co-founder, Andrew, are going to write up all the running events in the Bay Area, maybe all over California. And what's going to soon happen is she's going to realize, oh wait, I can't go to Sacramento. There's another event happening here. I have problems navigating up and down. So your ideas are the ideal is that you brainstorm all these ideas and you have to knock out the ones that you can't handle. You need to get to the ones that you can handle with the resources available to you. Break your ideas down into categories. So in my case with the clothing business, I am going down and contacting the club. I am going into forums. I am going into social media. I am going to be doing some content promotions so I can try to get some leads to buy giving away content. Now, even with me, as I take those 4 ideas I just mentioned and break those down, it's a lot of work. Think about forums. There's probably like 100 forums just for lawyers, 100 forums for real estate agents. Can I really be across all those forums, writing content, interacting all of them? No, not impossible, right? So I have to tell myself, okay, I'm going to go after 2 from the lawyer community, 2 from the real estate community, and be realistic after what I can go after. If I want to go after, for example, this club, there's a ton of clubs just like this in the US, but I can't reach out to all of them. I need to know who I can go after and make use of the resources that I have available. I'm one person. I have one other co-founder helping me out. You know, that's 2 people. Can we really pull off everything? No. We have to figure out what has the most amount of impact for the amount of resources that I have available. Lastly, as I wrap up, when you come up with your marketing plan is not the marketing team's idea or the CEO's idea. It needs to be your whole startup. And the reason I say that is because once you go down the path of marketing, you're now at a point where now you're trying to create awareness and create sales. If your engineering team is not supporting you, there's a problem there because the marketing team is doing X activities and they're getting feedback and sales are happening. The engineering team has to support you guys. Graphics team has to also be in sync. They have to create content for the marketing guys, right? So as you go out there and you're starting in marketing, your whole organization needs to be in sync with the marketing team's efforts so you guys can support them. Obviously supporting sales as well because sales team is a little different because what happens with them is these guys just go out and generate the leads and their interest. These guys are the ones that actually get on the phones with these guys, the customers. So when they get on the phones, you'll arise all new kind of needs, all new kind of problems, all new kind of like business cases, which they will bring back to the CEO and then go into the loop and trying to like resolve that kind of stuff. So the sales team need a lot of support on there as well. So that's it. That's what I had to tell you guys today. Again, if I had to reiterate, my biggest point out of this is focus on your product. All the other stuff is fluff, in my opinion. If your product is not good enough for market, the market is not going to take it. So go back, iterate, get your MVP working properly, and just focus on product. Once you got that done, then move on to the next steps from there. I can even do questions, or we can even go into like if some of the startups that are here that are funded in that group that just came in recently. It's called Zin Startup. We can go over some of the ideas. If you guys are having struggles with like identifying your customers, working on MVP, we can go over those as well.
So I've performed a bunch of custom development. I've talked to around maybe 100 people, like 8 skate shops or so, and there is interest in some of the market. And right now I'm in the phase where we're developing prototypes and testing it with customers. So my question is, how should I be testing it? So my original thought was, okay, I'm gonna just hand it to these people for free, and then follow up with them like a week later, ask them how it was, install onto the board for them, do everything for them, and get the thing back. But moving forward, I'm just thinking like, should I be continuing testing this way, or should I be charging? Should I be paying them? What do you think I should do at this stage?
So how many versions have you gone through so far?
We're on our 4th version.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how'd you know to go from version 1 to 2 to 3 to 4? Like, how'd you improve that?
Well, first, the early versions were kind of just like, well, like, this thing doesn't work right, or like, this thing's hanging, so like, and people don't want to put this on. So it was just kind of like working out the kinks. Right now, we're kind of finalizing the how it'll work, and now we're just focusing on like specific mechanisms. We're trying to find out like what are the fine details that people want.
So, my opinion is, if you're at a point where when you give it to a brand new person and they start using it, and the feedback is pretty much on point where you want it to be, you're probably ready to take that to market. Keep one thing in mind, okay? Customers usually don't know what they want, okay? Because you're developing something new. They're not going to be able to tell you, oh, hey, Alex, change it this way. They'll give you feedback, like touchy-feely feedback. Oh, it hits my back when I'm walking around. Or like, it's too heavy on my neck, whatever those kinds of touchy-feely stuff, right? Your job is to figure out how to take touchy-feely to figure out how to make it like a component for your device, whatever it is, right? And improve that. Don't expect the customer to give you that feedback. But if you're at a point where like now most of the feedback is now coming as positive, you're probably ready to go take that to market, start like taking it out to market, trying to sell that thing. So depends where you are. So have the feedback, like if you interview 10 people, you give a brand new clip to, the feedback come back like 70% this is awesome, or like you're not there yet?
We've tested it with 2 people, right? And I've tested it myself. Right now we're waiting on the next prototype to test with. So yeah, we're at that stage where we're about to get that 10. But
so you should never test yourself. I mean, you can test yourself, okay? But the thing is, you're in the box, man. Like,
that's
you're
true.
gonna forgive a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like Big Engage, when it started off, I thought I created the most fantastic UI. Everyone's gonna come on board, and everyone's gonna like sign up and like sign up and build it. I had a horrible onboarding process. Like no one converted for me. It took me like 4 versions to figure it out on what was working. I ended up copying Liver Designs on Wix and tested it out. And the day I knew I had it right was I actually left my monitor and I walked away. I was at a conference. Some random person came and was just staring away, and then she takes a mouse and she clicks on shit, and she has to go into the process. Like, I nailed it. Right? I thought I didn't know if it was right or wrong. So you as a founder should not be like giving opinions on that. My real opinion is, even one other person is not good enough. You really should figure. I'm sure there's a lot of skaters on campus.
Yeah.
You got to get versions of your product and find like 10 other people who are going to give you like open-ended comments. Like your friends will give you like comments with like a little bit of like, hey, I don't want to hurt your feelings kind of deal.
Yeah.
Right? Outside people will just give you bluntly the comment, and you can ask them, give me honest comments. I need some feedback on this thing. And so you got to test it a lot more. Your test base should be a lot higher, in my opinion. You know, like if you're at a point where you've tested on campus, you feel things are good, take it to that skate park in the Great Mall. You know, there's tons of skaters there. At any park has tons of skaters. Give it out and get some feedback. You know, and like the more feedback you get, one, you'll feel that, hey, my product is there. You're gonna feel more like sure about it.
Yeah.
And it'll give you like the more feedback you get, the better your product is gonna be. And if your product is like getting 70%, like yeah, this is awesome, you can take it to the market and then like make a version 2 later on based on new feedback you're getting back.
Yeah.
But if you're getting close to it, you should take it to market that way.
Okay, thank you.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
My first question is, we just received funding from ZenStarter, and we're getting 500 up front. I think within this month or so.
Okay.
However, since I'm a startup, like the only cost I have is I think it's cloud, and from what we're pulling, it's only gonna be like $20 a month.
Okay.
So my question to you is like, what would you recommend like me spending that money on? Because I thought of doing like spending most of it for marketing. Should I save it or should I
Save your money. Look, what are you building?
a parking app?
Parking app. Oh, I remember you guys. I saw you guys at the event last time. Okay, cool. So look, you have you're very much hardware dependent, and so you're getting a lot of money for your hardware testing. I mean, he's got a simpler product, and you've got a much more complex. You got electronics, casing, all kinds of stuff going on, right? You're going to need to conserve as much money as possible. So marketing, the only people you should be marketing and not spending dollars at the San Jose State trying to convince them to put it up in the parking lot, right? That's it. I mean, that doesn't cost you $1 to go talk to someone that manages that, right? Save that money, put it towards your hardware, get it tested in campus if you can, or if you've got small, this is a ton of parking lots in the Bay Area, small, you can go out to them. Just field test it out, and none of that will cost you money. They're not going to charge you to put up a device, right? And if they charge you, go somewhere else. Go find another person. There's tons of parking lots. But don't waste the money on that. Save your money.
My second question is, so actually San Jose State, so far, what we've been talking about is, they're going to install some smart cameras, so they don't want my sensors. What we're going to do is we're going to pull their data from the cars that go in, because they already keep track of how many cars are inside.
Okay.
So we don't even want our app. But my question to you is, like, I've been doing surveys about people like, oh, you want a parking app? Like, everyone just says yes. So, like, one thing we're not sure is what features to add. And the thing is, if I was to put a survey like, hey, like, what features do you want your parking app to have? Would that be like good information to get, or is it kind of like a useless like survey to give out?
So you're trying to find out, you're asking students who park here what they would like as functionality. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But keep it objective to the point where, like, what the students in San Jose should know is what is right now on campus and what the immediate problem is. You're making a product that's just not for immediate. It's going to serve going forward, right? So you have to build some innovation going that and keep your product lasting for the future too. So you can talk to them, but don't let them drive your product that much. I mean, keep that in mind. Your product is for future development and growth. So you got to kind of develop your own ideas to improve that too.
I like what you said earlier about keeping your whole team in sync with marketing. So I'm working for a startup and I'm solely focusing on engineering.
Right.
So what are the limits of, or how can the engineering team establish the limits of how much they're involved in business? Or how can they stay engaged in business? What do you think about that?
That's a really good question, right? So actually someone asked me that last week. There was a person on their team that constantly wants updates on every single thing going on. The CEOs get really frustrated, a buddy of mine. So here's the way that should be set up, okay? Within the CEO circle, there's a group that needs to be fully aware of what's happening in marketing. Usually it's like the person who's leading obviously marketing, but like usually leading like engineering and like support and all these things, right? The people underneath it, they also need to feel like they're aware of what's happening in the organization. So what I put it to him was, look, you need to have like maybe a weekly all hands meeting, or like every Friday get together, grab a couple beers or whatever, and you go over a high level of what the marketing goals look like, and if you're already down that path, what have you achieved so far, and what are you looking forward to. That way, everyone in the company knows kind of what's going on. But the core team that's kind of like pushing the whole thing, they're obviously different because you're having a lot more meetings with them. So if an engineering team member, for example, is constantly asking for updates and he does not need to get updated, there's a problem because you set the trend that says that you guys can do this all the time. What you need to do is right off the bat say, hey, here's the way the system works. We're going to have weekly updates. We'll update you guys. And once that's set in stone, everyone sort of understands this is the process, the way it works, and you keep that going. So that, hopefully if you do that, you won't have the issue just brought up.
Thank you.
So our product is a little complicated. It's very complicated. No, not too much. But we have multiple customer segments that we're trying to approach, and we were having a very difficult time understanding who our customer actually was, or if we should focus on one customer over another. And so our first customers are end users. So what we're having a hard time doing is understanding which market to approach first. And also, we're facing a chicken and the egg issue, where if we don't have enough end users, then brick and mortar establishments wouldn't really want to pick us up. And if we don't have brick and mortar establishments, then those wouldn't be perpetuating our use case.
So do the individuals and the brick and mortar both need to have the technology to be able to make the service work? Does that work?
Well, the end users are able to use it on their own.
Okay.
And also the brick and mortar could create their own premium, we call it a party. They would be able to create a premium party, which allows the end users to come and join them.
Okay, you can interact with what's happening.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So right now, how much testing have you done? Like, who have you given it to, and what's the feedback been so far?
So we are still working on product, but the companies that we talk to, the establishments around San Jose State, we talked to about 8 or 9 of them, and they were very, very interested in the product, allowing their users to control the music that plays in their establishment.
Right.
So there was major interest in that. And
So-
then also the students that we talk around with at San Jose State, they love the idea.
Okay. My feedback would be, it's interesting because these can stand alone by themselves, or they can be combined as a model together, right? So you have to think about your resources and your building, how it's going to work out, right? If you feel that the building model is not going to be successful until you bring the two groups and maybe enable both sides to work, and the building is not going to work, then maybe you have to tackle that way. But if you feel you can start off with just the individual side of things and the building is going to be successful, then maybe grow it out from there, and then once you've got enough mass, you can convince a brick and mortar to onboard this technology, right? The brick and mortar, like for example, is not going to onboard something with you have no users who are going to interact with this new technology to come onboard, right? It's like having a payment system with like a special credit card, but not people have it, they're not going to even adopt it, right? So maybe you should think about that. Maybe I need to go build this side first, and because you're on this side, you need to figure out, okay, if I'm going to put all my resources here, I need to also figure out how to build these people successfully and make money from there. And then as you get scale there, then you start going to brick and mortar and say, hey, we've got like 1 million users in the Bay Area using our technology, and that enables them to interact with your music system while the location create more environment of like social music environment. Then you kind of sell them on that going forward. So in my opinion, I would start off with the individual side of the business.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like with your product, I kind of remember seeing a product at one of the events as well. My opinion would be make sure that like whatever you're building is something that you've seen constantly of the people you gave it to using, and monitor them and see how they use it, because a lot of times music is very surprising how people use it, and so watch them, watch how they do it. Are they doing it just one because you're there and they're giving it up? Are they constantly using it? And then if you're at a point where like they see a lot of value in it, maybe they're going to the point where like if you say, hey, if I charge you $1 a month, $2 a month, would you keep the service on board? Kind of take it there. Yeah.
You kind of just touched on my question, but what I was going to ask is, say you've gone out, you've kind of done your customer development, you've talked to your users, you've iterated, you've started to find product market fit, and you've got some early adopters. Do I then go to my early adopters and when trying to come up with a revenue model as to how to make money, do I approach them and say, hey, are you willing to pay this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
So it's all up to them.
I mean, what I wouldn't. Okay, some people come on by accident. Okay, so that as you talk to your first set of users and you start testing with them, you understand your users to a point where like you can figure out how can I build these people, right? There was a company here that was building a drone tech for home security. Their initial plan was, I'm going to charge $4,000 for the drone, and then all the residential people are going to pick it up. $4,000 is a lot of money for a home drone, right? But that's what the idea was. But as they talked to people, they started feedback saying, hey, this is a little expensive, and they eventually pivoted to a small flat amount and a subscription model going forward. So as you talk to customers, you'll soon kind of figure out like where does my building really need to be, and take it from there. So yeah, and then they're your first people you should go for closing sales. They test your product, they give you feedback. If you've done a good job, they love your product, then they're going to be your first set of customers for yourself.
Thank you.
I'm actually adding on to this question, but aren't
No, don't ask them like how much do you want to pay for it. Like, don't leave it that way because they're always going to go about it, right? What you should do, I don't think you should ask them that question outright. As you talk to them, you can understand, depending on what your product is, you can understand the financials behind the product, right? Let's talk about his product, right? It's a music jukebox product, right? Spotify is what, $10 a month, right? $3 a month? Okay. Even lower.
For students,
For
yeah.
students.
Is it?
Lower.
For students, it's lower.
Okay.
For-
$3 a month, right? If he goes out and says, "Hey, I'm going to charge you $20 a month," do you think students will adopt it? No, right? Because students, that genre of people, can't afford such expensive products, so the product is priced that way. Now, it's not me, for example, a non-student, I think it's $10 a month.
Yeah.
I think Pandora was the same price. So they all kind of stuck in the same range. So if I were to come up with a competitor, unless I have a significantly awesome app that's gonna like make people love music so much more and addict them, there's no way I can charge $20 a month, right? So I have to stick in the zone that like I know is comfortable for them. So depending on what you're developing, you'll kind of get an understanding of like where your pricing model needs to be. When I did Big Engage, the email platform, I did a lot of competitive research to figure out like where are my competitors charging, what their life cycle looks like for a customer. Are they staying on and offboarding, or they're staying on board? Are they retaining them for 2 years plus? So there are a lot of metrics I went through, and I figured out where I want to be. I also decided that I'm not going to compete on price, because if you compete on price, I mean, you're trying to lowball yourself and trying to see if you can get from someone from Spotify from $10 to $9 a month for your service. There's no difference there. If you want to onboard someone, you need to create something of value where they feel like, hey, if I have to pay $12 for this new music service, it's worth it because it's so much better than Spotify. So, gotta kind of work on that a little bit. Looking at competition, and depending on what kind of product, if you're a web product, for example, you have it easy. You can run a campaign and run your pricing on your site for $9 for that week. Next week, you can A/B test for like $10 and just see where your pricing runs. Like almost every startup, when they start up, they don't know their pricing model. They fiddle around a lot with it before they nail it down. There's a period in time where I worked for a dating company called Speed Date. Man, they were price testing their site, the subscription, like literally every week. I mean, we were going from 97 cents to .98, always testing, because those little changes make a lot of difference. And we had a guy who was a data scientist. His pure job was, hey, last month we had that service at 29.97. How much of the users have we retained today? So they were constantly testing. So you're not going to nail your pricing, but you have to test your pricing to figure out what's going to eventually going to take you forward.
Okay, so I'm working on an app. There's definitely a gap in the market, but overall the app is easily copied. Like anybody can copy it easily, from a technical standpoint. So we have done our research, and people really love it. So would you say should we go all out and market the hell out of it to get it on top before anybody else copies it, or should we capture this let's say San Jose State and then go from there?
So whatever your app is right now, right?
Yeah.
It takes an X amount of resources. It takes an X amount of testing to figure out how to go produce that app. Right? You probably did a lot of talking to customers. You probably did a lot of iterations before you came to where you were today. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a chance someone will copy. Okay, there's always a chance, but it will also require them effort to go create that copy. Okay, so a lot of startup founders, when they get started, they go, "Oh, it's an idea. Everyone's going to copy it. I'm not going to tell anyone about it." Right? It doesn't work that way. Literally, any advisor you guys talk to, or investor, for example, they don't have any motivation to copy you, okay, or give your idea to someone else. Their idea is to help you out, or take it on the path so you can get some money, and then go forward with it. Almost any investor, for example, if you try to get an NDA from them, they're not going to have a conversation with you. This is a waste of my time, because they're like, if you don't trust me with the idea, I'm not going to bother with you, right? Now, if you take it to the app store, if you feel someone's going to copy you, they're obviously that's going to happen. People are going to see your app out there. But then, if I wanted to copy you, I just wouldn't copy you right after that, because every app has this spark of growth, but then they eventually die off. Because what happens is it's something new and unique. People get interested, but what happens is the interest doesn't really mean anything, because what happens is you have to have retention of that customer going forward, right? They might think, oh, this is for example, on your phone. I bet you have an app that you thought was really cool. You downloaded it, but you probably never even use. I have 10 apps that way I downloaded 2 weeks ago. I haven't even opened them once. I just thought it was really cool. Me downloading probably raised their app ranking, right? But does that really mean anything for that store? It doesn't, because I haven't even opened the app yet. So if I was trying to copy you, I'd monitor you for a long time to see is your app even retaining customers, is it something you're building successfully. Then I might think about actually going on and copying you. So don't fear that too much. And obviously, if you have the money for marketing, my opinion is go at it and try to grow your product out. Use your money wisely. There's a lot of ways to go get customers apart from just spending ad dollars. So just use it wisely. Yeah.
My question was, my first customer is SJSU. Most likely, like I want to target big customers like schools or local businesses, not really the individual.
Right.
However, my first customer is looking at me more as a project. So moving forward, you think it's fine for me to accept that, and then like moving forward, like get other businesses to like pay me, but use my first customer as a project based.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine because what's going to happen is that when you go out there and you put that device in the parking lots, you're going to learn so much. Okay. Have you actually mounted the device yet? See, look, you haven't actually done it yet. When you go out there, first because your product is hardware, you have all kinds of technical things you have to figure out, right? If you go, I went to Valley Fair Mall. Have you guys seen? You've probably seen that the green light, red light system. It doesn't work, man. I was there last week on Valentine's Day. 3 red light, 3 green lights. They're all full of cars. It didn't work, right? So I mean, maybe something went wrong that day, but like you're gonna go out there, plug it in, and you're gonna figure out what's wrong. So you need that prototype here. You don't want to build San Jose because you want that space to be doing your testing. Once you're at a point where you've got the product perfected, you're going to be creating case studies. You're going to go, hey, last semester there were 1,000 students who used my app, and all of them come in the garage. They were able to successfully land a parking spot in 5 minutes. An average student takes 30 minutes during this time frame. Because of my app, they got it in 5 minutes. Now you've got a case study. You publish that, right, on the web somewhere, on your own site. And now you've got some data, some proof. Now when you go approach another campus, let's say Santa Clara University, you're not going to say I'm a student of San Jose State. You have to look a little bigger than that. You're going to say, hey, my technology does this. I prototype with San Jose State, and I achieved this. And then you show me your data, and you kind of grow your business up from there. When I came out of Y Combinator, I had to close a deal with Microsoft. And I was a Y Combinator startup. I'm like, why would Microsoft deal with me? And this guy named Jason gave me really good advice. He's like, when you talk to them, don't behave like a startup. Behave like a company. And tell them what you do, and don't even go down I'm a startup. Because when you start saying you're a startup, things that happen in mind, are they going to be around next month? Be gone? Do they know the product actually work? So you just go out and you go to Santa Clara University. Don't pitch the whole startup route. Pitch, hey, this is what my product does. Our company's already proven it has gotten live in San Jose State, and we've reduced the parking time X percentage.
What were some mistakes that you made, and what did you learn?
Lots of mistakes, man. I made a ton of mistakes.
Whatever comes to mind.
I'll give you one I did for 5 years. Okay, the worst startup I did. The worst startup I did was this. I had a gaming company, an online skill gaming company. Okay, and we were getting off the ground, and we were acquiring users to viral marketing. And the big thing I had told myself and everyone else, like, oh, we didn't spend $1 on marketing. We have 1 million registrations. The problem was my registrations were taking all place in Asia. Okay, Asian people back in the days did not use credit cards online. They were very scared of using credit cards now. So even though I was growing, I was thinking, oh, my membership number has gone up. My billings weren't going up. Everything I went over today, right? And I was in my own box thinking, oh, we're going to keep growing, we'll strike gold somewhere. And 5 years later, I was still in that box. And it wasn't until I left it, went into Y Combinator, and I learned all this stuff, I realized, my gosh, I should have dropped that a year into it because I wasted 5 years of my life, all my investors' money, trying to grow something out when it wasn't the right thing to do. Or I should go raise money and shift my marketing to a part of the world that actually was going to use their credit cards, which is US at that point. And I didn't want to do that. I was stuck in this world of viral marketing, and I wanted to spend a penny, and I didn't make a penny either at the end of the day. So I've made a lot of mistakes. That was one. Hiring people is a big deal. I remember I hired this girl for a publisher role. Her job was an account manager role. Her job is to go through the contact list, contact the publishers, trying to see what's going on with them, trying to get deals in. And day one, I walk in, and she's sitting with her hood on, and she's looking like this. And she wouldn't even look at my face and talk to me. This girl's scared out of her mind. And I hired her for talking to customers, And I should have learned my lesson, and it took me 6 months to realize I was such a bad hire. I lost a huge deal, which I eventually recovered, but I lost it because of her. And I should have let her go the minute that happened. You don't want anyone joining you that can't sync with your team. You don't want anyone joining you because they're cool and fun. You want someone joining you who's going to move your company. Remember, you're moving your company, not bringing cool people on board, right? So yeah, there's a couple mistakes I made. Yeah.
Wait, so how do you kind of gauge whether you want to invest in that specific person? Like, let's say you're a little skeptical, but you're not like 100% on it. You just kind of like give them like a few more weeks, and be like, well, what's your process of like firing somebody?
I've always been the person that's figured out that everyone has some kind of skill, okay? Like, there's no person that's a jack of everything. In my opinion, jack of everything is jack of nothing, okay? You have a certain skill, and sometimes you're in the wrong place in that company. I'll give you one example. I had a guy named Jay. His job was also to be account manager for publisher division. I saw him burning out in a year. He was getting bored of doing it. And I remember I went to Israel to meet some of our publishers. I took him with me, and I was drinking with them. I was like, dude, I need my Jay back from a year ago when you're closing deals. What's happening to you? And he was fizzled out. And when we came back, like 3 months later, we had an opening for a project manager. And we couldn't hire a project manager. And I saw him fizzling. I'm like, dude, why don't you become a project manager? Just manage this project for me for a little bit. Oh my gosh, the transformation of this guy. This guy rocked the project. He's never taken a project certification class in his life, but he became so attentive, started talking to the teams in India, talking to teams in the US, and he rocked the project. And after that, he was a project manager going forward. I realized I put him in a position where he was not enjoying what he was doing, and I didn't use his right skills. And so at that point is when I realized everyone has some skill, you just have to discover what it is. So what I've done over time with anyone I hire is I have a weekly check-in with almost everyone, especially because we're a small team. I ask them how things are going. If they have any problems with their team members, I talk about that. I ask them, like, are you finding interest in some other part of the company? I've also rotated people in different teams just so they can explore different avenues of the company and kind of like get feedback on what they like to do. So I've done stuff like that, and I've done a lot of mentoring to see if I can get them to improve in whatever's going on in their life and work life. And if I'm at a point where I don't feel this progress is going to happen after the effort I put in, I let them know it's not going to work. One more thing about like the interaction I have with them, whenever I meet someone, I set goals for them. So if it was an account manager, I tell them, hey, look, this is your goal. I'm going to work with you for the next 3 weeks. We're going to go over, you're going to sit with me, you're going to kind of shadow me. I'm going to show you a couple things. You got to do 1, 2, and 3 in the next 3 weeks. And it's up to you if you want to figure this out or not. I give them 3 weeks. So they shadow me. I give them all the time they want. They can make all the mistakes. I don't care. End of 3 weeks, I sit back down with them. If I've seen an improvement, that's a sign that I can continue working with this person. If I don't see an improvement and they're back in the same place, that's a call to me like, I put an effort. They don't want to improve. I'm probably going to move them from the company.
How would you market like an already existing product to like a kind of saturated market, other than like making a difference?
Paul Graham says a really good quote. He says, no one's going to buy your product that already exists unless it's 10 times better. It's like moving a mountain, right? I'm not a Shopify user. Let's see what I use. I use Filmic Pro for video recording, right? It's a fantastic app. I paid $10 for it. It makes great videos, 4K videos. I've edited on it. If someone approached me to say, hey, well, I have a better video app, I don't have a desire to move. I'm happy with what I have, right? Unless your product has something that is going to revolutionize, like maybe auto creates my videos and fantastically crops them and does some effects and stuff like that, and I see value in that, I don't see a reason to move. So if you're creating something that is almost exactly something in the market and you're trying to get that customer to shift over to yours, it has to be like 10 times better than what they're experiencing right now, to the point where they go, oh my gosh, this is going to make my life so much easier. I'm ready to move over. Yeah. Or it has to be like something really, really cool and innovative that like, I gotta go try this out. I think like, before Tesla came out, like Mercedes S-Class was the best car you could buy, and all these things. And recently I read a review of the 3 Series, and the writer from Automotive Magazine said, this 3 Series is better than a 5 Series and a BMW 5 Series. That's a big compliment, because BMW M5s are known for being the most refined cars. And here's the guy saying a $30,000 car is a better choice than an $80,000 car. Like, that's a big opinion, big shift to a point where I'm like, that's pretty cool. So you gotta create like really big differentials in your product that you ship customer over. And you should, and in your case in particular, price war is something you definitely don't want to get into.
What suggestions would you have about getting into Y Combinator and getting through it? What type of mindset is one need to go to that?
Cool. So Y Combinator's changed a lot since I've been there. They've had a lot of like offshoots of their own group. Y Combinator, the number one thing they look at is your team. How strong is your team, right? Because they're giving you about 150K as you come in. So you don't have to worry about money and living and stuff like that. They'll give you money. They're giving you a space. They give you tons of advice. They're going to help you network with anyone you want. I met Microsoft through Y Combinator. Otherwise, Microsoft never met Microsoft. They're putting all these resources, and they're not going to put into resources into a team that is not a strong team. I read that there was 8,000 applicants like 1 year, and like 70 people got it. And probably the number one filter is a team before they get any further, right? If a team is not strong, you're going to break apart at some point. So team is important. Second is the founders and their background. If the founder, when they interview you for Y Combinator, you have like 10 minutes and they shoot like 50 questions at you, okay? It feels like a minute when you're done with the interview. And the reason they shoot 50 questions, and by the way, there's a panel of 4 throwing questions all at the same time. The reason is they're trying to break down the founder. They're trying to see if the founder really believes in the idea or is it just BS? You know, like if a founder is doubtful about the idea, during the grilling, something will come out where they'll go, there's a problem there. And they'll weed you out right away. So if you get past the team stage and bring you in, then there's another grilling going on there. Finally, it's product. Now, Y Combinator says all the time, even if your product is just on paper, you don't actually have anything ready, that's totally fine because they do heavily believe that if a founder is innovative, he's driven, even if he comes into Y Combinator with like a paper idea and a week later he pivots to something else, there's a very good chance he'll also succeed. And I've seen that in my batch too. I've seen companies just come in, they have absolutely nothing, a week later they're dead, and then all of a sudden they pivot and something else comes out of it. So wrap it all up, founder, was important, and the team.
Other than like having, like check-ins with your team and finding out their goals and how you, like the CEO personally can help them, what are some other good ways to like keep a good team relationship going and to just continue to build a better one?
Okay, cool. So it's easy when you're a small team. Like, so I'll speak about that, right? Usually a startup has like maybe 2 to 4 or 5 members, right? And all you guys right now are students, and you guys have your own schoolwork going on, and depending on your classmates, you might have different responsibilities. So what happens is when life gets in the way, like if you have finals or a big project, that one person, the team member, who is a link to the rest of your team, could eventually lose grasp on the project. And you can't really blame him because it's a big project for his class or school that he has to do, right? So to reduce like the fizzling out and keeping everyone in sync, what I recommend as a CEO, you need to have like a set, at least minimum 1 to 2 times a week where you guys huddle up, okay? Doesn't matter when. You work around people's schedules. You don't outcast someone because they have a class 8 o'clock. You meet at 8:30 if you have to, or your Skype meeting. But have those meetings because it keeps the team bonded on the vision. And the thing is, the CEO's job is to make sure the team understands the vision and you guys execute the vision. And the CEO needs a team. If you're a graphic dependent product like maybe you are, and your graphic guy disappears, you got a big problem, right? So like you got to keep that team in sync. Another thing is by keeping in sync, what happens is you'll yourself identify, is there a chance that I'm going to lose one of my team members along the way? If you start hearing things like feedback, maybe it's better to identify that now early enough than like when you're 3 months in, all of a sudden like you're about to go live, and all of a sudden the graphic guy goes, hey, I can't make anything for you now. I got to quit. So minimum, I would say 2 times a week. That's just like the least. I mean, like as you're starting a startup, you guys have to become like a family. You guys have to be huddling together, having lunches together, brainstorming. Your whole team should be eating, breathing, drinking, dreaming the company. That's all that should be happening. And if you guys are all in sync that way, like you have much better chance to succeed at all.
So I've been told as a project manager, one of the best decisions you make is to kill a product or kill a project when it's dead. What's your advice on that? To know when to kill a project or idea, or to end it.
find that you're not making a product market fit. And the way you will come to that very quickly is following Eric Reese's advice. You create your MVP and go out and start testing it right away. And you test it with real people that are not you or your friends. And you start finding that there's no need for this product. No one's finding it appealing. Like, give it to people. Like, imagine this clipboard. If the people are testing go, I'm fine carrying it. I don't need that clipboard. You know, you could force it and take another 10 people. If he's not getting the same thing, he's at a point where, like, no one's finding use for this device. That's when you say, hey, you know what? I need to go either pivot to something else or I need to call it on this product. Yeah. Remember, you're building all this stuff for who? For people to buy, right? If the people don't want it, you're building something that no one wants. I mean, look, you don't know sometimes your ideal customer is what you think, but you might find someone else. But you might think there's a certain audience that you think your customer is going to be. Go start talking to them, right? And find out from them, like, are they seeing value in your services? Without you writing it into code, you're going to figure out that you either got to pivot very quickly or you've got something really good and the feedback coming back is fantastic. Then you got to go create your MVP. The funding and stuff, like, unless you really need money, go talk to your mom and dad, go talk to your family members, go get some angel money together. Don't go down the path of funding, because funding is a whole project on its own, man. Like, when I came out of Y Combinator, my co-founder and I split duties. His job was pure funding, because funding is a very tedious task. Presentations to investors, modifying the presentations, trying to get their meetings set up is so much work. And if you're doing that, you're not focusing on product. So what I would do is go talk to customers, get feedback, and keep working on an idea, improve it. If you're at a point where, like, the feedback is coming back great, get your first MVP ready, take it out to customers, get them tested, start going down that path, and then as you come closer and closer towards solving the customer's problem, the money is literally easier to bring on board at that point. Almost any person you go to, like, if a smart, intelligent VC can read through BS. They've gotten so many pitches in their life, and if you pitch something and they ask you a few questions, right off the bat they'll know, like, this guy hasn't tested it, he doesn't know if he has the audience grasp or not, and they'll read right through it. So you got to do that first legwork first.
Well, thank you so much,
Yep,
Lloyd.
absolutely.
That was like 20 minutes presentation, like 40 minutes Q&A, so it's highly interactive. I hope everyone had their questions.